Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Kanawha Valley Zoom service on Sunday. Let's see, it's March the 7th. So good to see everyone this morning. We'll begin our service with the ringing of the bell. Rich, if you'll ring the bell for me, and the lighting of the Christ candle. And we ring this bell and light this candle at Unity to remember the Christ Spirit that each of us carry within us. And now, if you'll speak with me, please, our opening statement as we become centered in the sacred space this morning. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. Now let's breathe this truth within as we become centered this morning. And let's repeat it together once more. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. And so it is. And now we'll hear from our wonderful band with their opening song.
Hi, everybody. We're Jeff and I are here by ourselves today. Ryan is off on an adventure with Amanda, and so just the lone masked marauder and me. So we're going to start off with Surely the Presence. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on his face. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. I can feel her mighty power and her grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on its face. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. And he healeth me. He healeth me. Oh, blessed thought, oh, words with heavenly comfort fraught. Whatever I do, where'er I be, still is God's love that healeth me. He healeth me, he healeth me, by his own power he healeth me. His omnipresent good I see, for by his power he healeth me. God, I would feel thy life in mine, to thrill my soul with love divine, to bind me closer still to thee, since 'tis thy love present good I see, for by her power she healeth me.
Thank you so much, Ron and Jeff. And by the way, if you haven't heard, Pam posted Ron's new video on our Friends of Unity page, and it is amazing. You have to check it out. It's called Be the Change. Ron wrote it, and it's just amazing. Welcome to Unity of Kanawha Valley. It's nice to see everyone here this morning. We've got a lot of friends here on our Zoom station, people we don't even know. Everyone's welcome, and we're so happy that you're here. Our announcements this week, prayer chaplains have a new phone number, and if you need to get hold of one of the prayer chaplains, just call 304-945-0033, and they will be happy to pray with you. Sojourner Shelter donations is still luggage and bags for the children leaving the shelter. If you have those, drop them by. Just give Pam a call, drop them by the church, and she will make sure that they get to the Sojourner Shelter. Let's see. If you would like to donate to UKV through the website, just go to unitywv.com, and it will direct you to our PayPal link where you can just send in your donations to help support our church and our ministry. And also, Pam says that she has some Lent booklets. If you would like one, she'll be happy to mail you one, even though Lent's already started. It's called Release and Renew, or you can email her on ukvwv1@gmail.com, and she will be happy to send that to you. So let's see, I think I had something else. Let me check my other page. Because she said, she says the most recent booklet is titled How to Stay Centered No Matter What. You think we need that? I do. So there again, she will be more than happy to mail you one of those. Just give her a call or email her. And that's all I have. Sky, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Peggy. And I'm sure we can put Pam's email in the chat
Yes.
for those who don't have it. Good morning, welcome, shalom, namaste, and aloha. The light in me greets the light in you. My name is Sky Kirshner. I want to welcome you to Unity of Kanawha Valley Online Edition. Thank you for being with us from wherever you are. And thank you for continuing to be careful about COVID and socially distancing. The West Virginia numbers are going back down again. We went up a little bit last week. They're going down again this week. So good on us. And let's keep that up so we can keep everybody safe and healthy, and thrilled that so many of us are getting in line in the vaccination process. I want to remind folks that we're doing a beautiful book study on Mondays at 5:30. Eric Butterworth's book, The Universe is Calling. It's a book about prayer, and it is phenomenal. If you're interested in seeing the first chapter, I've sent it out already, but Laura, if you would mind putting my chat or my email in the chat, I'd be glad to send that out to anybody who hasn't gotten that and would like to join in. The mission of Unity of Kanawha Valley is to provide you with a welcoming community of love, acceptance, and spiritual growth support. We celebrate our unity in being alive together, and we affirm our diversity, that each of us is on our own journey of spiritual growth. It's my personal goal that you feel welcome while you're here with us today, that you feel free to be yourself and feel free to explore some ideas that might be useful in your life. Today we will be exploring the idea of the challenge of suffering. The challenge of suffering, a good Lenten theme. If you want to know more about Unity, check us out online. And finally, let us know if you need help of any kind. Just let Pam know, and we will do what we can to help address and help you through support in your situation. Prayer is a central part of what we're about here today. So in a second, I'm going to invite you to go inside and pray. And the sentence that I've come up with for today is this, and I just wanted to say something about this sentence. The sentence is, underneath all outward appearances, I am at peace. Underneath all outward appearances, I am at peace. And some of you may know or remember that in Unity, when we say the words I am, we're remembering God talking to Moses in the burning bush, I am that I am. We're remembering Jesus saying I am in his I am statements. I am the way, the truth, and life. I am the vine and you are the branches. I am, I think there are 7 or 12 of them. So when we say I am, we are in a sense evoking one of the names of God. We're invoking the Spirit of God. So when I say I am at peace, I'm not referring to my outward appearance or circumstance. I'm referring to the truth of the I am within me. So would you join me in this statement and maybe soften your gaze or let yourself close your eyes? Maybe let a smile come to your lips and say silently to yourself, underneath all outward appearances, I am at peace. Underneath all outward appearances, the I am that is within me is at peace. And if you are lucky enough to be with someone you love, feel free to touch them if they give you permission or welcome that. And if you're by yourself, you might conjure up in your imagination someone you love, someone who loves you. In your imagination, you are not bound by time, distance, space, even life or death. Conjure up that person now, see them in front of you, look at them, eye to eye, put your hands on their shoulders and say to them, thank you for being with me on this journey. Thank you for being with me on this journey. And I want to express some gratitudes. I want to thank each of you for not being with us live today, but for being with us virtually from wherever you are. We have so many friends across state lines and across national lines. It's thrilling to get together with you every Sunday to join in our thinking about what it is to be alive on this earth. Your being here today is part of the world that we're creating. Every small thing you do today makes a difference, especially in the era of COVID. Every small thing you do makes a difference. I want to thank the universe, God, the source of all life and love, for another day of life on this amazing journey. I want to thank everyone who's made this service possible, for Pam, for Stephen and our board, that is Barbie, Jamie, Rich, Peggy, Laura, and Kathy. For Ron and Jeff, our masked marauders of music, and for Ryan, who will be with us as a guest musician during the first interlude today. For Peggy, our worship leader today, for Rich, our Zoom meister, for our prayer chaplains, Sharon, Janet, and Marianne, and for the prayer chaplains who are coming up, which includes Laura and a few others. And for our daily word reader today, whose name I do not know. And for our junior bell ringer today, whose name I do know, I think it was Rich. Thank you again, Rich, for ringing our bell. I want you to know that I'm lifting up every member as I've continued to do through this entire year. Every member and every friend. If you've been with us, you're a friend. And I'm so grateful for the chance to walk with you on our journey together. I want to remind you that God is our source. The pen. What is this pen? The pen of power in your life is in your hand, and a new day is dawning for us all. So if you would join me now in a more extended period of prayer. You might begin by noticing the sense of light today. I hope it's bright and sunny where you are, even if it might be cold. You might notice the sounds that are in the room. The sounds of birds. The sounds of air moving through the room and outside. You might notice any tension that's in your body, in your face, in your neck and shoulders, in your jaw. You might breathe into that sense of tension in your body. Each breath is an experience of circulation. Each breath is an experience of the giving and receiving of love in the world. Each breath is an experience of healing and brings it with it the opportunity for resources, the opportunity for energy, the opportunity for healing and connection with our source. Jesus said, "Seek ye the kingdom." The kingdom is among you. It is in your midst. It is here and now. It is at hand. And the kingdom is within. And so we go within on a regular basis, curious about the truth of this statement, that the kingdom, the space of connection between us and our source, is found within. You might notice a sense of calm that comes as you make connection with this secret place within you. You might notice a sense of peace, a peace that passes all understanding because it is not limited to outward circumstance. You might notice a sense of sufficiency, of abundance, of prosperity, of deep gratitude. A sense that all is well and all will be well. This is a place of connection, of feeling of love, of reconciliation, of forgiveness, of community, of support. This is a place of healing, of cure, of acceptance, where we know that every cell in the body has a wisdom, knows what is its to do, that the miracle of the body functions in ways so complicated sometimes all we can do is say thank you for bringing us to this moment, to this breath. And this is a place of guidance where we can go inside seeking a greater wisdom for our lives, noticing when something feels just right, and noticing that even when it doesn't feel just right, we can trust that all will be well. And it's from this place that we reach out to anyone, anywhere, in any need or trouble, those living in pain, those living in fear, those who are struggling to breathe, those who are separated and isolated from ones that they love. We remember those struggling with addiction, those struggling with depression and anxiety, those struggling with feeling like it's not worth going on in this life. We reach out to you in our mind's eye, seeing you surrounded by light and by love, and knowing that the consciousness of God's presence is possible at any time, in any place, in any circumstance, because God's presence is spread out equally throughout the world, with no exceptions, available to each person at any and every moment. And for this, we are grateful.
Laura, it's your turn.
The daily word for today is world peace. We affirm celebrating diversity and affirming unity. I am a presence of peace in the world. The road to world peace begins with my open-hearted acceptance of those who are different than me. Our world is vast and diverse, and its people come from a wide variety of cultures and histories. The more I learn about those whose lives differ from mine, that judgment fades in the light of compassion. Today, I sow peace through my acceptance and understanding. Peace in the world grows as I join my brothers and sisters in celebrating the glory of human diversity and affirming oneness in God. And our Bible verse is Isaiah 2:4. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It's great to be reminded of the beauty of that song, Make Me an Instrument of Your Peace. Well, Ron sent me a story that a singing, songwriting buddy of his, Tommy Williams, put together. Tommy was thinking about, what might be a good business to start in the time of COVID, and he was thinking about, going to the dentist, and because that's a difficult thing during COVID, and he was thinking, what do dentists need? What would make a good company? And he started thinking about how dentists, have a lot of medications, and sometimes it's a bother. You have to get the prescription, then go to some other place, go to the pharmacy. So he decided it might be interesting to start a trucking company that, like vans or something, or that transports pharmaceutical medications and these kinds of products to dentists. And the main reason he thought this was a good idea because he had a great name for the company. Can anybody guess what it was? Transit Dental Medication Incorporated. Transit Dental Medication. Thank you so much for that, and thank you, Ron, for another good one. And we need it today because I'm going to be talking about Lent and the challenge of suffering. First, a little bit about Lent. Lent, as you know, is the 40 days before Easter, not counting Sundays. Sundays are considered feast days, and so if you're counting it out, you count all the days except Sundays, and those are what we would call fasting days. And you may remember the word fast. Similar to the word feast, these words come to us from our Norse ancestry. To fast means to abstain from food or drink, especially as a religious observance. And to feast is to celebrate and get all the food out and have a big shindig, which is what we do, what many folks in the world do. Right before you start a fast, you have a big party. In the Christian tradition, we call this Fat Tuesday. It goes by other names, but the New Orleans tradition, Mardi Gras, where you have a big party, you eat whatever you want because you're about to go into 40 days of self-imposed suffering. Why 40? Well, you probably recognize that number. Jonah is in the reigns for 40 days and 40 nights. He's lost at sea for longer than that, but 40 days and 40 nights. Jesus, the 40 days of temptations. The children of Israel wandering in the desert for 40 years. So 40 has this kind of resonance for us in the Judeo-Christian tradition. Why fasting? I had an interesting conversation with Father Olaf Scott, the retired dean of the cathedral here in Charleston, the Orthodox Cathedral. The first fast, the first example of fasting comes to us, at least in his tradition, right in the story of Genesis. The prohibition from eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the apple as we call it, is seen as a fast in the Orthodox tradition, that Adam and Eve were required or invited to fast. And as we know in the story, as I would say, curiosity got the better of them. Much of the Christian tradition sees it as disobedience. I don't think Unity sees it that way. I would say curiosity. And in the standard Christian tradition, they are punished for their disobedience. And the consequence of this is to live a life of suffering and pain. And they are sort of cursed by the character of God. I'm not going to say by God. I don't think God does that. But the character of God in the story casts them out of the garden, curses them, and says, you're in for quite a ride now because you disobeyed me. Whew, scary stuff, that. I would say the consequence of eating the apple is that it brings pain into our lives when we start thinking that we are 100% sure that we know the difference between good and evil. You remember the apple is from the tree of the difference between good and evil. Adam and Eve only eat part of the apple, so they, like us, only have partial knowledge of the difference between good and evil. But I would say we are thrown into a garden of suffering, or out of the garden, into a world of pain and suffering when we start believing that we are 100% sure that we know the difference between good and evil, especially when we start thinking we have the good and everybody else has the wrong or the evil. As Laura read so beautifully in the daily word for today, world peace comes through recognizing that we each have partial knowledge of how this whole thing works. And so if we want to get back to the garden is a place where we are not lording the idea of right and wrong categories over other people, that we approach the world in a more humble way, saying, we don't always know what the best avenue is in this situation. My mother, coming from a strong and rich, well, poor, actually, Irish Catholic tradition. You can't have a rich Irish Catholic. It's got to be a poor Irish Catholic tradition if it's really going to be that. Her name was Kennedy. My middle name is Kennedy. My mother's Catholic calendar had, on Lent, little fishes on the fasting days. I always wondered what those fish were there for. Some of you may remember this, and those were to remind you that you were to eat fish on these days, that this was a day for self-denial and suffering. And self-denial and suffering were seen as good for you. They were redemptive. You remember the phrase, no pain, no gain. You put yourself in Lent in this self-imposed suffering because it's good for you. You're reminded of the suffering of Jesus and our duty to be grateful for the idea that he died for our sins. We've got to join in the suffering of Jesus. Now, as you know, and as you see me smiling, Unity turns this thing completely around. Just to start off with, Jesus does not have to die for our sins. I know some of you that might be new to Unity might say, what? That's like a standard tenet of this thing. But just think about it for a minute. Jesus sends his disciples out preaching the good news 2 years before he's died. His death is not part of the good news. What is part of the good news? The whole central piece of the good news is that you have God's Spirit within you, and that nothing you've done or nothing that's happened to you, nothing you can do, can remove that fact. God is not angry with us. God is not angry with you. God is not angry with me. In fact, anger is not part of who God is. Now, we humans thought that God was angry with us because we thought that God was just a big version of us, that God was like a superhuman, super powerful being capable of anger, jealousy, vengeance. Do you remember that saying, wisdom is fear of the Lord? And in the evolution of how humans have thought of God, which is the Bible is the story of the evolution of human consciousness, of God, who God is, what God is, how God's working. And in the beginning, those stories are full of a version of God that is angry and jealous and vengeful. You remember, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Whoa, okay. Now, we've come a long way. If you remember Virginia Slims, we've come a long way, baby, right? in our thinking about who God and what God is. A lot of Christian theology is based on medieval political systems of feudalism. It's a feudalistic way of understanding power. God is in the castle. God can protect you if an opposing army comes, if you have found favor with the Lord of the castle. And so you want to be careful when the Lord comes by. You want to bring your gifts, pay your tribute to this powerful Lord, because this Lord, if you're in trouble, has the power to lock the gates and lock you out, and the marauding army is likely to kill you. We have come a long way from that idea that God is a Lord, a feudalistic Lord, who only will protect you if you are in good favor with God. And I was brought up that the way to be in good favor with God is to believe the right things, to say I believe them, and to act accordingly. If you've noticed, Ron has changed some of the words in our opening song. Surely the presence of the old version was, the Lord is in this place. I haven't talked with Ron about why he did this, but I think I have an idea. I think he changed the idea of surely the presence of the Lord is in this place to surely the presence of our God is in this place, in order to try to help us to remember to move away from this feudalistic idea of God. As Jesus teaches, God is love. The word is there is equivalent to an equal sign. God is spirit, Jesus teaches. God is love itself, not a superhuman being who has the quality of love, but God is love itself. This is a whole new understanding in our evolution of what's going on, our place in the world, and where does our source, God, the universe, fit in, or how do we fit in with that idea? God's only attitude, Fillmore and Butterworth write, God's only attitude towards you and me is one of love. Love's only attitude towards us is love. And so where does fasting come in? Because we know that fasting was an important concept for Fillmore's. Not just a broadened view of fasting, but the Fillmores were vegetarians. They did this for spiritual reasons. They thought it made sense. It does make sense for many of us to practice that. I like the idea of fasting that comes to us from our Islamic brothers and sisters. When I've talked with them during Ramadan about, and when I've gone to the mosque and heard what the idea is behind that month of fasting, it is a way to practice self-discipline, to remind yourself that once we were hungry, that other people still do go hungry. So during Ramadan, not only a time of fasting, but a time of generosity, of giving to those who are hungry all year. It's a time of self-discipline. The purpose of Ramadan and the Ramadan fast, as I understand it, is to help you to be able to help me to be able to practice self-discipline with our urges and our little ego-driven greeds, like being hungry. Being hungry isn't a greed, but gluttony is, overeating, overconsumption, all those over kinds of things. Self-discipline in Islamic thinking, from what I've talked to with folks, is like a muscle. You use it or you lose it. It's muscle strength. The more you can practice self-discipline, the easier your life will be when you need to practice self-discipline. So we do a self-imposed self-discipline, and then when we need it, we're ready. Most of us have been practicing a form of fasting with the idea of COVID. I would say we have been in a 12-month COVID fast. Many of us have been exercising self-discipline We did not want to get sick or die. That was a long-term goal of ours, and so we gave up short-term pleasures. I remember the first funeral service I did when COVID started. It was so strange, standing so far apart from people. No physical contact, no hugging, no touching. But we all were in agreement that this was a short-term pain, a short-term form of suffering for the long-term game of keeping everyone alive so that we could get to the point where we could have some cures or some vaccines as they're rolling out now. Fillmore, one of his books, Charles Fillmore, written no doubt with consultation with Myrtle, wrote the book, Keep a Holy Lent. And in this book, he talks about unity versions of fasting. The primary one, to practice self-discipline in terms of thinking. To practice affirmative prayer means fasting from negative thoughts, negative thinking. Negative thoughts are the fears that come from looking only at outward circumstance and not remembering that inside one's connection with Source, that at this level, all is well. This is, of course, super hard to do when outward circumstances are right in your face, when you're feeling sick, when you are sick, whether you're feeling it or not, when you have pain in your body, when you're worried about your health or the well-being of a loved one, when you're feeling insecure financially or in relationship. These outward circumstances tend to consume us and to consume our awareness. And so the Lenten fast in unity is to practice taking a break from the awareness of these outward circumstances, to rest from overthinking and from worry, to go within and to connect with our Source, because at that level, at the level of Source within, we know, we have experienced, some of us, that all is well. And so the Lenten fast is to take a break from outward experience, outward circumstance, to go within and experience whether this is true for you, that all is well. The challenge of suffering practice is how suffering preoccupies us. And so we all need to practice, I think, taking breaks from our pains and our fears. Judy Hamilton has been putting on Facebook this little thing, she calls it Look Up. And every day she takes a picture of the sky. She's been doing this for, I don't know, maybe for a year. And every day it just says, look up. And I'm just thinking, isn't that beautiful? To sometimes take this little practice. If I've been inside the whole day, maybe go outside and just look up and look at the sky just for a minute. So this is an example of taking a break from outward circumstance and putting us in the place where we can go inside and just experience a different perspective of the world. The Daily Word this week has offered several examples of this. I want to just read one of them for you. I give myself to loving care. The word was renew. I take time for my favorite renewal practices. I'm careful to choose activities that bring to my mind vitality to my body and make me more receptive to the presence of God within. I'm careful to choose activities that bring peace to my mind. I've been doing a very strange and wonderful thing the past week. I've been paying attention to my toes. I don't know why. I do kind of know why. My daughter's a dancer, and she was showing me her toes. She can do this with her toes. And I thought, I hardly spend any time with my toes. They're way down there. I'm looking at them now. I say hi to them maybe once every other month when I go to clip them, but other than that, I ignore them. And then I decided this week, my wife has this amazing green thumb. When she waters the plants, she touches them, she talks to them, she caresses their leaves, and I thought, I'm gonna talk to my toes the way my wife talks to the plants in our house. Maybe they would enjoy that. Just a little, just something new. I'm careful to choose activities that bring peace to my mind, vitality to my body, and make me more receptive to the presence of God within. As I make small positive changes to try new approaches like caressing my toes, I am renewed in mind, body, and spirit. It's as if the shining sun is illuminating a new path, a new awareness in me. And then this beautiful image. The sun always shines, even on the cloudiest day. The light of God is always within me, even when I am not aware of it. I am renewed as I attune myself to the presence of God within, and my divine light shines brilliantly. And so I want to lift up this idea for you that you don't need to suffer. You can have gains in your life without suffering. But practicing small breaks from worry and from fear might help strengthen that muscle that gives you a chance to be ready when bigger things in the outward circumstances come along. I want to close with just one more example. I'm up for my second COVID shot coming up on Friday. And I was thinking, just about everyone I know has gotten sick from the second COVID shot. And I was thinking about how I anticipate the experience of getting sick regarding this is going to be. And I'm aware that if I started to have the COVID symptoms without being related to the shot, I'd probably be freaking out. But if I start having COVID symptoms on Friday afternoon or evening after receiving the second shot, I'm going to be in a very different state of mind. My perspective of these symptoms is going to be very different because I'm going to be saying to myself, this is okay. This means that the vaccine's working. This means that my body's recognizing that there's this threat and they're doing a great job coming up with protecting it. And I'm just kind of thinking about, isn't that interesting? Same symptoms, but completely different mindset, depending on whether I brought this on myself through getting the second vaccination, or if they start happening randomly and I start freaking out about the outward circumstances. I'm curious about what you might do with this, so I'd like to give us a little bit of time to practice having a discussion, and I'd like to send you into breakout rooms if that's okay. If you'd like to stay in the room here with me, you can do that too, but let's just go. We'll have 3 or 4 folks in the room, so probably you won't wind up in the room with just yourself. Feel free to turn on your video so you can be friendly with the folks in the room and have an enjoyable discussion. We'll do this for about 6 or 7 minutes. So the question is, what do you make of all that? Is there anything on this that seems helpful to you? And if you're with us through Facebook Live or through YouTube, feel free to just hang out here with me. Usually I leave and say that's it. Jim, thanks for watching. If you've got a question or a thought that you'd like to share, feel free to chat it out and I'll read it out loud. It's okay if you don't, but I was going to do an additional piece today on the prayer for protection because there was one of the daily words for today had to do with protection. And I think this idea that outward circumstances scare us, and it's by taking a break from the outward experiences and going within that we can find peace and comfort. I don't think many of us can live in that place because outward circumstances draw us to them frequently, but taking breaks, going away, going inside is one way that we can practice this sense that of wondering whether we can have that experience that all is well. When I think about the prayer for protection does not protect us from outward circumstances. I think probably everybody knows this. The prayer for protection did not protect Jesus from getting killed. The prayer for protection does not protect any of us from having hard stuff happen to us. Hi, Laura. Would you like me to send you to one of the rooms?
Yes, please.
Okay. There you go. So what good is the prayer of protection if it doesn't protect us from outer circumstances? Well, the prayer for protection is referring to letting go of the outward circumstances and knowing that at the level of spirit, we are protected, that at the level of spirit, all is well. In fact, in terms of the way the Unity authors think of it, your spirit is part of the immortal spirit, which is God, God's self. Nothing can harm your spirit. As I say, nothing that's been done to you, nothing that you've done to it, nothing that anyone's done to you can affect your spirit. If you come from a theology like in Pirates of the Caribbean, with Davy Jones Locker, they talk from time to time about tarnishing or damaging or corrupting your immortal soul. Well, in Unity way of thinking, it doesn't work that way. The immortal soul is incorruptible. It's been with you since birth. It doesn't depend on what you believe in or what you do. It's just part of your nature. And that's why we think of good news as the teaching of Jesus, that you and everybody else has this in them, and that you are just fine at the level of spirit. You may not feel fine at a psychological level or a social level or a level of external circumstance, but at the level of spirit, you are fine. You actually don't need protection at that level because nothing can touch you at that level. But the prayer of protection is a reminder that that is the truth, that you have the Spirit of God and that inside you, and that nothing that happens to you can touch you at that level. It's perfectly fine to use the prayer for protection, to ask for protection from external circumstances, but I don't know how it works, but I'm pretty sure that it is not a vaccine that gives us immunity from suffering. The fact that Jesus dies a horrible death at the hands of the power, the political power at the time, the fact that every Christian martyr suffered a horrible death, the fact that everyone suffers death and has external circumstances to deal with, suggests to me that your faith does not give you immunity from trying times, difficult times, and from suffering. The question is, I think, can we take a break from that from time to time to remember that inside all is well, even though it may not feel it from the outside. Mary Louise King, thank you for this. I appreciate it. I'm here. I really like your idea of taking a break from fear and worry. I have a God shelf, which means I write down. Wow, you've been typing. Okay. I write down on a piece of paper my fear and worry and give it to God. I only allow myself 5 minutes a day to go to my God shelf to pick up the fear and worry. Then I lay it back down on the God shelf because it doesn't belong to me anymore. I gave it to God. This is my practical way that I practice surrender. Mary Louise, that's beautiful. That's absolutely lovely. And so your practice is to the point, it sounds like, where you're only giving yourself 5 minutes a day for fear and worry. In my life and in the life of some of us, we spend much of our day in fear and worry, worrying about external circumstances, and then just 5 minutes of giving ourselves a little break to go inside and practice connecting with and practice reminding ourselves of the truth that all is well. Linda Arnold, thank you for the heart. Jim Snyder, thank you for watching. Let's see, in another minute, I'm going to be bringing everyone else back. Would anyone else care to share anything of your practice while we're counting down for 2 more minutes? Hello, Joy. Welcome back. Well, it looks like we're going to be returning to the Zoom service. So thank you so much, Facebook friends, for being with us today from wherever you are. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week or whenever that is. So namaste to our Facebook friends. Bye-bye. Hello, Joy. Nice to see you. Joy, where are you watching from today? It doesn't look like you're able to unmute yourself, so thank you for being here today. I hope you've had a good experience. I can see you nodding or shaking your head. Are you in West Virginia? Yes. Okay. Great. Well, I'm going to bring everyone back now. Well, as usual, I'm sure that was not enough time for such an important discussion. Feel free to stay on later, and maybe we could get your groups back together again after the service. I'm not quite sure. We've never done that before, but let me turn it back to Peggy for the continuation of our service.
Thank you, Sky. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I just mentioned to the people in my group that it's so nice to be able to talk to people that you haven't had a chance to interact with before. So everyone seems to enjoy that. Thank you for doing that. Now is the time that we prepare for our gifts of tithes and offerings. So don't forget in your endeavors to support worthy causes and places dear to your heart, don't forget Unity of Kanawha Valley. We appreciate your support, and we have been able to keep our church open and there for us so that we can gather back together there soon, and our church will be warm and cozy and pretty, and We just miss it so much. So let's say our offering statement. Divine love, moving in and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love. I trust God. And I am grateful. Amen. Thank you.
Every time I think of love and suffering and letting go, I think of the song Amazing Grace. 1, 2, 3. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to feel, and grace that fear relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many danger, toil and snare, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe this far, and grace will lead us home. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved soul like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. I once was lost, oh, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see.
And that's why they call him Soul Man. Thank you, Ron and Jeff. Now let's take a moment to bless our offering. We thank you, Mother, Father, God, for these gifts that come from the hearts of the givers. We thank you for the mighty work that is done by this church to help in the community and in the lives, improve the lives of everyone that enters through the doors. And we can't wait to enter back through those doors, dear God. So we just say thank you for guiding us through this darkness. And thank you for providing the light that we see coming at the end of the tunnel. And thank you for allowing us to be together in this way while we're waiting to get there. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Now, we have birthdays. Today is Joyce Gibson's birthday. Happy birthday, Joyce. And Wednesday is Sandy Blair's birthday. Happy birthday, Sandy. And then next Saturday is Rich's birthday, right, Rich?
Sandy's 37.
Again? Okay, very good.
And I
Thank
want to
you.
acknowledge the 1 year anniversary of our COVID sort of shutdown, which is next Sunday. So we will have a special service next Sunday for our 1 year anniversary, as strange as that may be.
Okay, we're looking forward to it. Thank you very much. Let's do happy birthday, Rich.
And many more.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace
Great service, everyone. Thank you.
So if you'd like to unmute, we could say hi to each other. And hey, John, Beck, hey, Lisa.
Great to see you, John.
Hi, good to see you guys.
How's it going?
Doing good.
Good. I don't know if you were can see.
You letting your hair grow there, John? Oh,
Nate crocheted this hat for me quite a while ago.